Yo, what's going on, gang? Sorry for this late video, but I always say better late than never. So, welcome to this non-traditional portraiture demo we got going today. Um, so, I'm showing you my supplies right now. Got some styrofoam, though we probably shouldn't use styrofoam to save the planet, but uh, it's great for making prints, so I use it anyway. Those are my other styrofoam scraps. We're going to be using some black India ink today. Also going to be using a sponge with water. Got some washable markers. Some watercolor paint, not sure if it's watercolor or gouache. Crayons, love crayons. We won't get to those in this demo though, but you'll see them at the, the final version. You'll see. So what we got right here is our paper. And like I said, 18 by 24, you can reach that a lot of ways. So I just glued 4 sheets of paper to each other. But what I'm doing right now is getting prepped for my monotype, and that's what I use: markers, washable markers, and styrofoam. And so I cut out this silhouette of a head type shape, and I'm just going in it with some yellow marker and trying to get the whole surface covered right now. I'm back again showing you my paper because I didn't show y'all that in the beginning. This monotype process is pretty dope. It's pretty quick, pretty fast, pretty easy to clean up. And you can typically use your printing plates forever. I haven't. I mean, I just started using this plate. Was that Sunday? And I think I've made probably about 20 prints since then. That's last Sunday, by the way. Here, I'm just making sure I got the whole surface covered. You want to get it covered up as much as you can, because the more pigment you put down, the more pigment's going to end up transferred onto your surface. So what I'm doing now is prepping for the monotype, and I got the sponge and water out. Wring the sponge out just a little bit, and we're getting the paper nice and glossy, not too wet. You can start to see through my paper. I think that's a little too wet for this particular process because you don't want to tear your paper up. But once you get it nice and moist, you can put your printing plate face down. So that means the side you colored on face down, and start to massage it onto the paper wherever you want it to be. Um, and make sure you get contact with as much of the surface as you possibly can. Voila. And there you go, you got a print. So what I like to do when I'm doing this process is to clean off my plate in between prints, unless I'm using like warm hues or cool hues, and I don't necessarily need to clean it out. But you don't want to mix colors with your markers too much because that kind of ruins them. But what I also do is when I'm doing that is I keep my oven on, and I can usually keep it at like 150, 170, so that I can place my paper in there while it's drying. And so while my paper was drying, I went on ahead and colored that plate again. I guess I gave you a little bit of info about what this portrait is going to be. It's going to be like a double-headed portrait of a person getting a haircut. And so, like I said, I got the paper a little wet. Sometimes what helps me massage the plate onto the paper is putting a little bit of water on my fingertips. So that's what you saw me do there. And that's how I'm able to glide around so easily. But these markers are so shitty that I don't really need to do that. And you'll see me kind of abandon this massaging process here in a little bit in this video. And there you go, the second print. So we're starting off our double head portrait. So I just went ahead and decided to do it again. I had another shape that I wanted to use, and that's this hair clipper type shape that you see here. Like I said, I want to do a haircut type situation. So I just went on ahead and printed that shape. And so what I'm doing now is grabbing that Black India ink and starting to um, dip a paper towel in it and use the paper towel as a sort of a paintbrush of some sort. Now, I like using a paper towel as a paintbrush or a drawing utensil because you get a wide variety of marks. You see in the beginning here, I'm kind of staying pretty consistent with my stroke width, but once I get into the details, you start to see just how much you can manipulate that um, paper towel to get it to make as many different marks as you want it to make. And so right now, what I'm depicting is the cape that you would see on people that are sitting in a beauty chair or a barber chair. Um, and so I'm just like filling it out right now. But in the process of me filling that out, I'm also trying to keep in mind what I want to do with the rest of the image. Now, I think that's something that we should always do, keep in mind the entire image while we're working on certain parts and not just get obsessed with certain aspects. I think I did get obsessed with this barber curtain a little too much and barber scarf a little too much and realized that I didn't have a background. So what I went ahead and did was I'm going to do another monotype technique, but I had to cut some stencils to cover up what was already on my paper. So this monotype technique is a technique that um, requires you to use shaving cream, food coloring, and that's pretty much it. A stir stick, maybe if you have one, and a baking sheet. Yeah, so here we go. Got my baking sheet right here, and trying to make sure my baking sheet is wide enough for my paper to sit in. Now, you may have a situation where it's not wide enough, and that's the exact situation I'm in, but I didn't really care. I went ahead and did it anyway. Got my shaving cream, got my food coloring, and we're good to go. So first thing you want to do is spray that shaving cream in there and go ahead and smooth it out. Um, what I use to smooth it out is like a little scrap piece of cardboard. And as you can see, I got it from a Vans box, so it doesn't really matter what you use. Just want to smooth it out as much as you can, kind of like a baseball cream pie or something. So now with our food coloring, you want to take your inks and kind of like strategically place them into the shaving cream. And so this is basically paper marbling. Now I'm calling it a monotype because I think you can do more with this than just marble paper. But this is a paper marbling process, and that's basically painting on paper marbling. Is you paint on the surface of water with different pigments and start to manipulate them with a stick. And so this is different because it's shaving cream, but it's kind of the same concept except you're using food coloring and shaving cream. So like I said, strategically put your dots down and think about how you may want them to be manipulated. And so I kind of wanted to do this black flowers in the midst of this like green and yellow kind of like dandelion field. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, this that's also what I had. Those are also the colors that I had. I didn't have any other colors in that, so a little more transparency. And so this process of printing is you put the paper face down, and I slowed it up here so you guys can see what I did. Put the paper face down, make sure you massage it on, get the all contact, and you pull it up from the edge, And after you pull it up from the edge, you kind of just scrape off the excess foam with cardboard. And so fast forwarded to me painting hands. Decided to paint some hands to go along with these hair clippers because I think those are the things that I think about when I'm getting and sitting in there getting my hair cut. And you also can see how the paper marbling turned out. Wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be, but I think it worked nonetheless. If I, was a little bit smarter about how I planned it out, then it probably would have worked a little bit better. So here you see me painting the cords to the fingernail clipper to the hair clippers. They're not fingernail clippers, my bad. And I think a general rule I like to use is just to try to make as many different textures and identify as many different things as possible with different textures. So he seen me going back in again with the ink and the paper towel, but this time I'm doing kind of like afro texture. Um, and I realized that I wasn't satisfied with one of the heads, so I went on ahead again and layered up the styrofoam and did another monotype, but this time I colored it a little bit differently. You see, I got the brown kind of gradient with to the orange and the yellow that time. And then I just started to go in and draw with the black washable marker to kind of bring out some of the details within the hands that I painted. I like to mix media, as you can see. Like I'm having a blast here. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm having so much fun. But then I went back in and wasn't satisfied with how the hair had sat. It didn't seem like a haircut to me. It seemed too stagnant. So I wanted to add some movement by adding some more kind of like chunks of hair floating around the image. And then I went to do these sketchy eyes, and I like sketchy eyes. So then I made the biggest mistake here, and that's drawing these glasses. What I did. So you see this kind of pause where I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, is that a good idea? And I know it's not a good idea, but I don't know. For some reason, I went on ahead anyway and just finished it. I think this move kind of ruined the piece for me. And from this point on, I kind of just fell flat in drawing it. But here's our demo. Nonetheless, here you go. It's the rest of the time of me just like trying to save this portrait. But I know I showed you all some specific things, but you can employ these techniques in a multitude of ways. And I think you all should think about that. So don't hesitate to shoot me an email if you have any questions or anything. Um, and the last version of this portrait is not the final version, so I'll post that when I post this video. Adios.